Julie, do you want to?
Joe? John? Greg?
Here.
Stephanie? Angela? Alex? Not here. Justin? Jen? Jane? Peter? And Mary?
All right, at this time, I'll ask if there's any public comment on matters on tonight's agenda. See none, I hear none, so we'll move on. At this time, I'd like to do something which we had hoped to do earlier, and now we have it tonight, which is to recognize our students who have been involved in the Northwest United Co-op football program. I can tell you that I had a chance to see them play. I do remember that championship game, and I will tell you that I never saw more gutsy and high levels of sportsmanship than I saw on that field. You guys are terrific. You went undefeated. That is nothing short of amazing in the first year in the program. And so I'm going to turn this over to who's going to do this or introduce people. Please.
So this is our head coach, Jennifer Garzone. She is the first female varsity coach in the history of the state of Connecticut. She's also the first one to ever make the playoffs, obviously. And I've known Jen for several years because she's coached at Oliver Wolcott Tech, and we've competed against them, and I've known her for a while. I've always known her to be very professional and a good coach, but having worked with her this year, I can honestly say that I've never worked with a coach that's more organized, more professional, more proactive, more communicative, and her ability to work with a great football staff and have kids produce on the field is evidenced by what happened this year. They won the CTC championship. It was a great accomplishment, 10-0. And I'm going to hand the mic over to Jen so she can introduce the players that are here.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to try not to mess up some of the names because I'm still getting there because I'm only going by first name. But we'll call up our senior, number 30, Nathan McVeigh. Number 57, Kurt Warner. Number 74, Ryan Sellen. Number 75, Noah Papalaskis. Number 23, Reed Warner. And he couldn't be with us tonight, but also number 21, Luke Nichols. So I know I speak for our program and for the young men standing with me, how grateful we are that they were able to join our co-op this season. We got to have our season banquet yesterday, and I'm proud to announce that our first ever Workhorse Award, which is kind of like your coach's award, captain's award, if you will, to represent somebody who is putting everything out on the line for you, behind the scenes, sportsmanship, being a positive student athlete. That was awarded to number 30, Nathan McVeigh, yesterday.
So I found this year to be like super inviting as a member of the team, especially considering that it's made up of 5 different schools. I found that it's sort of like was easier to come together as a family as the season progressed, because we all had the same interests to a degree, and we all just found our love of the sport with each other on the field. And I think that helped us grow together as a team and sort of helped us to become undefeated.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to repeat what Nathan said, but you heard that. So I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting us throughout the football season, before the football season, and giving us this opportunity, because this changed everything. Before, I was a Pop Warner football player. Now, I'm a freshman starting varsity for a 10-0 team, and that's the best thing I can ask for. So I'm thanking each and every one of you for saying yes to football and loving us. So thank you all.
So our future's bright. We did exceed, sorry, not a great public speaker. We did exceed expectations long that we had planned back in the summer when we were doing lifting. One thing I am proud to say that we did meet and probably went above and beyond is that these young men before us, while they were successful on the football field, were successful in the classroom, their future careers, whether it be farming, tradesmen, military, going on to higher education. And that's what our sport's all about. It's building that resiliency, it's building character, it's developing relationships. I believe at one point we were a little bit over this number, but our program has players from 23 different towns, all over not just Litchfield County. I think we got a couple from New Haven County as well. And it's probably one of the most rewarding opportunities I've had as a coach, but also to see these young men not just be brothers on the field, but they're being brothers out in life in the community. I got to come here Friday night to see Nanawa play Chippewa. I had to wear my neutral colors because I can't pick a side. Got to root for both sides equally, but that thing, seeing that transcend from the football field is it's amazing. I thank you, and I hope that we're only going to continue to grow and be successful. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, hold on, don't leave yet. Go ahead, John.
So we formed the co-op last year in the week after COVID. I actually was part of the co-op with Housatonic and Wamogo and Wokotech 2019. And then when COVID hit, Housatonic went with Gilbert Northwestern, so it was us and Wamogo. We were with Nanawa, but this is the first year that we had Chicago and Litchfield also joined with us as well. I've loved football since I was a kid. If I didn't make my school's soccer team, Sacred Heart, one day it might open up again in Waterbury. But if I didn't make my school soccer team, I always said I was going to go play. I was fortunate; I was able to play women's semi-pro for 11 years. So that was the biggest factor in that. And then in 2012, I started coaching up at Wokotech as an assistant.
Yes, Pete? Well, Coach, I can say that having watched the team play, you really did a wonderful job as coach. You really had them executing. They were doing their jobs. They were really working together well, meshed very well together, and the level of sportsmanship they showed to their opponents, just over the moon about that. That was really terrific. You guys were a really team playing at a high level, and we just could not be more proud.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Thank you so much. It's great to meet you guys. And are all of you who are not seniors coming back next year? Coming back to play next year, yeah. We'll look for you.
Great, thank you.
All right. We will move on to the consent agenda. There are minutes of the Board of Education meeting of December 12th and October 24th of 2022. Does anyone want to take these off of the consent agenda to discuss them? I certainly want to take the minutes of December 12th off the consent agenda because I believe that there is a mistake at the end on voting, and I'm trying to find it. Bottom of page, oh gosh, there are no numbers on these pages. Second to last page, the bottom of the page, it's got a vote, it's got the motion made, and it's got a vote with Kava, Kolnick, McNaughton, Ongley, Cody, Stewart, and Weber voting in favor. Julie did not vote in favor. She voted against, if I'm correct. And Joe Abdallah, who's locked in as voting opposed, I believe actually voted in favor. Also, Jane is listed as having voted against. Did you vote against, Jane? I don't recall that. I thought you voted in favor. The vote was 7-4 to 1. 7-4-1. So I think the ones who voted opposed were Angela, Pete, John, and Julie. And then Alex abstained and everyone else voted in favor. So is that everyone's recollection? So could we have that change made to the minutes and then I'll entertain a motion to approve it. A motion to approve as modified? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye. All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. All those abstaining, please so indicate. All right, it's unanimous. So the minutes of the 12th are adopted. The next set of minutes are from the 24th, and these seem to be kicking around for quite a long time. I think they should come off the consent agenda as well, and we should act on these one way or another. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as drafted, and then we can discuss it. Second? Moved and seconded. Let's discuss them. There was some discussion of tacking on a materials or whatnot submitted at the meeting. I did inquire of our counsel as to what should be in a set of minutes and what's proper to be there. And the only thing that needs to be there is a description of the business before the group, any votes that were taken, and the result of any such votes. To attach other stuff, theoretically you could do it, but it's not normally done. So at this point in time, the question is, do we want to do anything, or do we want to just approve them as is? And the description does not have to be a verbatim description or even a complete description of what was discussed. It merely needs to address the topics that were discussed and any votes that were taken. I'm sorry, John. Words 28 words incorporated in the minutes that were never spoken during that entire hour and 10-minute session. You can take those 28 words out of those official minutes. What? John, what 28 words do you have a problem?
Mr. Kava also provided details on the recent letter to the editor written by Mr. Von Udo, published in the Voices on October 12, 2022, that contains inaccurate information. You never said that in the entire hour and 10 minutes or in the transcript. That simply was not there. It was added afterwards. It was added sometime after the meeting. I don't know when.
John, I'm trying to find it. Can you just give me a second?
Sorry, I'm so hung up on that.
Greg, can I ask the question?
Before you do, though, can we just find what John's, I just want to find it. I'm, which paragraph? I can't, I'm not seeing it.
It's, yeah, 1B.
Well, this happened so long ago, I mean, I don't know that I recall, but I don't have an objection to removing the second sentence, the second paragraph. Anybody else want to? You guys have to say?
Well, I just, we can remove the last sentence, and that's fine, but I think we spent way too much time on this as it is. So I would just like to move on. So can we just vote yes or no to the minutes, take out that last sentence, strike it out, and then let's vote and move on?
All right, John, would you move, you're moving to take out that second sentence of the second paragraph. Is there any objection?
I mean, if it never occurred,
No, I understand, but the question is there an objection to taking it out? Without an objection, it will be removed. So the question is, the motion's been made to approve the minutes as drafted with those words removed. Is there any other comment? If not, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and voting aye. All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. All those abstaining, please so indicate. The minutes are adopted as amended. Thank you all very much. Move those up. Okay. I guess we can then move on to reports and recognition. I don't know that I have a lot to say. I think it was great that we had the football team here tonight. I hope we can get to see our teams more often, and I would hope that we could perhaps get to meet some of the other student athletes. In addition, we've met a lot of the student musicians, we've met a lot of the actors, and I'd like to meet the athletes as well. And I think we also, it would be really nice if we could have provided to the board a complete schedule of athletics. I would really like to see that, to know when the games are, where they are, who's playing when, so that we could attend more regularly. I'd like to attend more regularly. So that's what I'd like to see, and I think we need to make sure that students all understand that we support them tremendously in what are really great efforts. I mean, like I said, I can't believe that this team did it.
Also, too, maybe a thought is to maybe, and I'm sure Matt could organize this, but maybe even before each season to bring in the teams that are, performing, whether it's the swim and basketball in the winter, and then the spring we have golf. No, golf's in fall now, right? No. Anyway, just to be able to kind of get a sense of each of the teams and what they're doing before their season starts, I think would be really great. Or after, however they want to do it. But I think it's a really great opportunity to recognize all of our athletes.
I think it is. And so I would be happy to have them come and be introduced anytime. I think that's important. Okay. I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I guess one thing I'll just say, I have a regret that I joined the region after the football season. I'm a huge football fan, so I would have loved to have been able to see the team play, but next fall I'll certainly be out watching that happen. And thank you again for the comments about athletics. I think sometimes it is overlooked these days, and certainly the arts and music are very important, and maybe we'll give them short trips in the past, but I do want to recognize that athletics does contribute positively to many boys and girls lives in school. And so I think the schedule is a good idea, and honoring our athletes and having them more visible, I think would be great. So thank you for putting that on our radar, and we'll get you those schedules. For my report, I just want to start with a couple of highlights from around the region, particularly starting with the elementary schools. We have a elementary band and chorus unified concert coming up this Thursday at 7:00 p.m. That'll be here at Chapag. One other thing that parents may be interested in knowing, as well as some of our board members, is that this month we will also be giving our students the STAR test, and that's an assessment in ELA, English Language Arts, and Math, to help gauge where students are in their growth as students over the course of the year, making sure that they're on track to making the growth that they need to make in 1 year's time. And so we give that multiple times during the year. This will be our mid-year STAR testing window in January. So if the kids come home and say that they took the test today at school, you'll know what they're talking about. At Chapag, we have kind of an exciting event coming up on Tuesday, January 17th at 2:30. It's Unified Sports Basketball. Unified Sports, for those who don't know, are an opportunity for students with special needs or learning differences to come together and participate in athletics in a way that allows them to perform and participate in ways that are scaled to their skills and ability. I have a long history in helping out with Unified Sports, so it's near and dear to my heart, and I'll certainly be there to watch the basketball game. And the staff and faculty are encouraging students here at Chapag to come on out and cheer on their classmates. So it should be a great opportunity for us to come together as a school community and support all of the learners here. Just a quick recap. Last Friday night, we had Rivals Night, which was a head-to-head basketball game, boys and girls playing against Nonawag. And it was an amazing night. The gym was packed. Matt told me they usually don't take out the bleachers on the other side, but they had to take them out. And not only did they take them out, but they were packed. And so it was a great atmosphere in the gym. The girls played extremely gutsy and a tough loss of 38-17. And then in the second game, the boys cruised to a convincing victory, 74-27. I think what impressed me was the energy in the crowd and the enthusiasm, but also the class and composure that the fans showed. And so people came out and they cheered vigorously on both sides, but I think it was done in a way that was very well orchestrated, and I think showed a lot of class and decency. It was respectful for all the kids. So great night had by all. And I think one of the particular highlights for me was seeing our youth basketball players that had an opportunity to come out and do a skills demonstration. And as someone who coaches youth basketball, I was pretty impressed with what the kids were doing. So I think we have a strong future in the basketball program. So it was a great evening, and I'm looking forward to that again next year. A couple other quick highlights from around the region. I plan to be holding a series of superintendent meet and greets. And so still working out the logistics, but making sure they come out to each town and each school to have an opportunity for parents and community members to come out and meet the superintendent. The intention of that is just to have an open conversation and casual opportunity to meet one another and listen to the concerns and also the things that people love about the district. Just a quick update. We've been working, we started working this past week on taking a look at some of the school board policies and matching those up against revisions that have to take place based on changing legislation. We will be working to clean some of that up and then bringing that to the board for their review and adoption. I would also advise, might not be popular, but I'll put it out there anyway, that the board may want to consider reinstituting a policy committee to take a look at all of our policies. As we're going through, we just see that there's a number that need some slight refinements and editing. We did, get updated policies from Shipman, but there is a need, I think, to go back and make them unique and tailor them specifically to the district. So I would again, I encourage that as something to take under advisement. There's some good news. Ed Advance has secured an $8.7 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education to help support mental health needs. And all of the participating schools, of which Region 12 was, will receive a 0.5 social worker to help support mental health needs in their schools. So since we have 4 schools, we will receive 2 full-time social workers for the next 5 years, completely funded by Ed Advance. So that's something that's really exciting. I think something that is really needed in the post-COVID era. But again, I would also urge people to remember that this is a need even before COVID. So we're grateful for the grant support, and I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity for the district. And I also just want to remind board members and the public alike that I've been scheduling individual meetings with board members to get to know each of you individually, learn more about you, and also some of the goals and ideas that you have for the district. And that's been wonderful. I think I've met with 6 people already. So if you haven't signed up, either sign up in the link that I sent you or just grab me after the meeting and say, hey, this works in my calendar. But I'm really looking forward to that. And I found they've been very productive meetings. And I've actually dare to say they actually are also a bit of fun. So thank you for signing up and coming out. Now back to some of the items that are on the agenda on the superintendent's report. In terms of personnel, we have 2 appointments. Jessie Hungerford is an agri-science substitute teacher that was recently appointed for Chippewa Valley School. She will be subbing on a short-term basis for a term of 1 month for Megan Berry. And it was kind of neat meeting Jessie because she got her start at WB Saul High School, which is an agricultural high school in the heart of Philadelphia, believe it or not. There is an agri-science program there. And so I have actually been to that school and had an opportunity to meet some of the staff there. So when Jessie had done her student teaching there, it was neat to see somebody coming from that program. And she's very eager and very excited to come on board. And also, Connie Ho has retired as the administrative assistant to the director of facilities over at central office, and she's being replaced by Marie Palaccia, who will be starting shortly as well. Retirements and resignations. Mark Stanwich, custodian at Chippewa Valley, is retiring on March 3rd. And I also would like to submit for the board just an update on field trips and notify that we will be having a group of students in grades 10 through 12 from Chippewa traveling to the Big E Fairgrounds in Springfield, Massachusetts, in order to work with the staff there who are putting on an arbor exhibition to learn about what goes into hosting a large trade show and the setup and logistics involved with that. So that will be a wonderful learning opportunity for our kids. And that concludes my report.
Before we go to the treasurer's report, I just wanted to mention on this policy committee, I would be delighted to hear from anyone who would like to serve on it. I've decided that I'm probably going to try to serve on it so I don't complain about the policies when they lead us in their board. I'm going to have something to do with helping to put them together. I had sort of hoped we would never have to go back and do this, but it looks like we're doing so. Look forward to hearing from you. John, treasurer's report.
Yes, good evening. On Friday, I had the opportunity to review the invoices. Some of the larger expenditures included total payout to Barrett Roofing for Burnham's roof replacement. That total expenditure was $297,587. Anybody hasn't been by Burnham, it really looks great. That was Barrett, I see, right? And we purchased the replacement windows for Chippewa Valley Middle High School from Cherry Hill Glass. The for $363,218. That was only, that's only 60% of the total for the windows. The balance would be $271,240. And they're being held in a storage facility until we can get the company to install. So they're safe, secure, and sound, except they're not on site. They're elsewhere. Don told me where they were, someplace else in Connecticut, I believe. You know, Nicole? Windows are on. Okay. And the maintenance garage is completed. The total project cost was $705,016. I remember, I guess it was like, I was on the board maybe 2 years. I think Pat Cosentino was still here. And we talked about a cost. And the garage was going to go out by the parking lot out there. And it was, I believe, under 200,000 at that time. So, yeah, well over $500,000 on top of what we originally projected for. We needed. And our auditors have wrapped up the 2021-2022. That's Charles Heaven Company. Their fee is $25,000, but Nicole informed me that there's also filing fees and physical preparation of the actual document. And it's going to end up being at around $36,000 for the total Charles Heaven, but they do an excellent job, a thorough job, and money well spent. And that's about all I have. Any questions?
No, thank you, John. We'll move on to committee reports, curriculum and educational programming. Justin? Here.
We really focused on two things. The first one was the science. Sort of just talked about some of the options that are available, and some of the ways that we teach and approach reading in our schools. We hope in the future to have some of the elementary school principals come in and talk to us about what they're actually doing now, so we can kind of see how that compares to the state. Excuse me. And then the last thing we talked about was really just kind of an overview of the benefits of learning languages at the elementary school level. Continue that conversation later.
Okay, thank you very much. Joe, at Advance?
I attended the Ed Advance Board of Directors Zoom meeting this past Thursday, January 5th. And as Mark has already reported, the bit of good news that will affect us is the grant awarded to them in the amount of $8.7 million, which is going to provide us with school-based mental health support. And obviously we'll be helping out 9 other school districts. The other part of the good news that we had for Advanced was the sale and transfer of ownership of the East School property in Torrington. That's been finalized, and the Grove Street property is now going to be finalized by the 23rd of January. Both of these properties will allow them to develop and grow their early childhood learning center, as well as expand some of their other special education programs. So that's my report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions? Joe, please convey our thanks to Ed Advance for everything that they've done. In particular, this is a big thing that they've done. They've taken on a very difficult problem across the country. They should be commended. Okay, F&O, Alex is not here. I don't think we've had a meeting of F&O since the last time he made a report. So We'll move on to strategic long-range planning. Julie.
Yeah, we have not had a meeting, but this week I'm going to be going to the Burnham PTO meeting to give them an update on long-range planning. Jen is going to WPS, and then I'll be going to Roxbury next week. So we'll have, by the end of next week, have brought all the PTOs up to speed on where we are.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to old business. We have policy 3280 for a second reading. This is on gift grants and bequests to the district. Anyone have any questions, concerns, proposed modifications, or anything else about this policy? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve policy 3280 for second reading? After the second reading, it's up for approval. Moved by Joe, a second. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor, please. Oh, John.
I remember there are different ways for these gifts and grants and stuff. Some people try to get stock. Would you just run down the different categories and how it works?
So we haven't had a ton of gift or request activity since I've been here. We do have one benefactor who last year was intending to give stock, but we don't have a brokerage account. So he wasn't able to do that. And instead we received the gift in cash. And this year we looked into opening a brokerage account. We're ready to do so if we needed to, but it didn't become necessary. So right now the gifts and donations that the district receives are either cash or equipment. Sometimes the ag program gets equipment gifted to it, but we haven't had any gifts or stock since that one attempt a year ago.
Nicole, I would imagine any stock we might receive as a gift would have to be liquidated
Immediately, yeah,
immediately. Yeah.
which makes it a little bit difficult to get a brokerage account because
Here today, gone today.
so, but we did find someone locally that was prepared to do that for us, but we didn't have to do it.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. All those abstaining, please so indicate. It's unanimous. That policy has now been adopted and approved. I have nothing under new business and updates, so we'll go on to, well, we've already done the action item number 1. And so I'll ask if there's a motion to approve the board meeting schedule for 2023, 2024 that's been presented as part of the materials. Yeah.
But there is going to be something.
There absolutely is a way to avoid that. And it's to consult the calendar with that in mind. That we should avoid religious holidays.
So there's just one on this one. That's on the 20th. That happens.
25th of September.
Yeah. That's the Board of Ed retreat.
Okay.
So just, I guess my request would be to change something.
Oops. Well, let's look at the September. So we have a meeting in September on the 11th, and then the 25th was the intended retreat. What about the 18th? I don't see any holidays on that day, but it doesn't mean my calendar is complete. Does anyone have an objection to moving that meeting to the retreat to the 18th? Okay. let's make that change. Are there any other problematic dates on this calendar? You notice we have a meeting on the day we're paying our taxes. I guess the question I have is there a reason? I mean, December, January look a little problematic. I see one meeting in December, I see one meeting in January, and then nothing until February 5th. So that, you know, we don't do anything for 2 months with the exception of January meeting. Is there a reason why we wouldn't want to have the second meeting in December or January? Well, I think, hold on a second, let me go back to. December the 11th. Actually, this is December the 4th. The next Monday, 2 weeks from that would be December the 18th. And I don't know when school stops for the holidays, but my guess is that probably the last day is the 22nd. So I don't know why we wouldn't have a meeting on the 18th and then of December. I mean, well, that's another option. Is just that sometimes toward the end of the year, we have the need for a meeting. If something comes up. That's my only worry about not having one scheduled. I don't have a problem scheduling it when canceled. I'm trying to stay away from it. Well, yeah, once it's scheduled. Well, January, you've got the 8th. The problem is the 22nd is a holiday. Oh, no, it's not. It's the 15th. It's Martin Luther King Day. It's not the 22nd. So I think we could have a meeting on January the 22nd.
Yeah, I would prefer that and keep it one meeting in December. So
Does the superintendent object? Okay. January 22nd. Okay. In March, we have the whole collection of budget hearings. We have one meeting in April, and it looks like it's because we have a meeting at the end of March, so 2 weeks later is April 15th, and then we make it to May 6th, May 20th, June 3rd. I think we need another meeting in June, I hate to say it. Either the 17th or the 24th.
When is our last day of school? Wasn't that right around last year?
Last day of school is the 8th, isn't it? Or 7th, rather. If I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's the 14th. Normally that last week meet is, we take care of dealing with, I don't know if we're gonna get our act together this year and do personnel issues and things earlier in the year than the budget time, as opposed to the end, but we typically have things at the end of December.
Well, this year we only have one board of ed meeting.
Yeah, and it's on the 3rd, so that's pretty early in the month.
No, I mean, this year.
Oh, this year we only have
We
one?
have one on the 5th, and we don't have it again until July.
Well, I think that we may have made a mistake last year. I've never seen us not have a need for a meeting at the end of June. So
don't we usually meet the first week in July?
so usually the middle of the
Is it middle?
11th or 12th. I mean, that,
It's like the 4th, 12th, you know. That's true.
yeah, because you've got the 4th in the beginning of July.
That organization.
I think this year our organizational meeting is on the 15th of July.
It was the same thing for December and January this year. The way it was scheduled, with one in December and one in January.
Yeah, it's just that I don't think it was as my recollection was it at the beginning of January?
Of last year?
Or Yeah,
Today is the 9th, and we don't have any other schedule for the rest of January.
we had a meeting on December the 12th this year, was Pat, and then last year in January, we had a meeting on the 10th. And that was the only meeting we had in January, was the 10th, but it wasn't like the first week of the month. Whereas this is proposing, for example, to be January 8th. No, that's not too bad. Close to 10.
Today is the 9th.
All right, the only question I guess is, do we need a second meeting in June?
No.
After the 3rd?
No, so,
So we're gonna be prepared on the 3rd to do whatever. We have to do for the end of the year, end of fiscal year. Nicole, are you gonna need us to approve anything like the transfer to a 2% fund or? So, but by June 3rd, you'll be able to do that. And we don't have anything else. We don't have any money you're anticipating we may need to make a decision on spending or anything like that. Yeah, well, I'd rather schedule the meeting and cancel it than to not have it and then have to go run around to try to schedule it at the last minute, but. Okay. Whatever the group wants to do. So, do we have a motion to approve the calendar with changing the September meeting from the 25th to the 18th? That's actually a retreat, and adding a January 22nd.
yeah. So,
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
I,
All those opposed, nay, please. All those abstaining, please. I see no nays, no abstaining. It's unanimous. The calendar is adopted. All right, at this point, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel. For a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye and raising your hand. All right. All those opposed, please raise your hand and say nay. All those abstaining. Well, that's more than a 2/3 vote, so we'll go into executive session.